Good morning. Welcome to my city, a city which is actually fairly walkable in parts, but we are getting there. Dr. Afonso talked about connecting people and places. Now, that's word connectivity is, you heard it often, is a well-lauded objective in modern urban design. And it really means getting people from A to B, avoiding all the ups and downs and the disruptions that Duncan mentioned earlier. But more importantly, it's really more than just a safe, convenient, and practical journey. It really requires, if it is to be satisfying, interactions and engagement along the way in terms of activities, in terms of events, views, greenery. And architecture, or well-designed architecture, would actually contribute to that engagement by drawing people in and through and make it psychologically rewarding. Now, how could architecture do that? I'll show a few examples. One condition or precondition of architecture being able to engage the worker is that we have a dense and compact urban fabric, and perhaps an efficient and matured infrastructural system in terms of bridges, walkways, decks, terraces, of course, footpaths. Now, one of the simplest ways of architecture being able to engage the worker is just to provide the interface between the private rim, something the architecture contains, and the public rims, something which flanks the architecture, like a street. In this project, the LHT Tower in Central, it flanks one of the only pedestrianized street in Hong Kong, the Theatre Lane, along here. So what we do is design a facade which is dynamic and engaging, so that from different directions and alleyways, it draws you in. And when you walk alongside it, the apparent movements and dynamics of the facade would actually help you to move along. And at the same time, it's transparent. You can look at it, through it, to see the lobbies and the cafes and the shops on the inside. And it leads you to an entrance which is seamlessly connected to the sidewalk. So that is a simple example. But architecture could be much more proactive than that. A building we designed almost 20 years ago in the University of Hong Kong, in which we actually merge the public rim with the private rim, so that as you walk, you experience the building. This is the campus of the University of Hong Kong. Again, a very compact fabric, almost like our city. The building is located there. It's on the route between the residential hostels of graduate students and the senior staff, with the center of the campus down the slope. So that's the building, the residential quarters of the upper slopes. So what we do is to bring the routes of the daily commuters from those residences alongside the building or through the building on the daily journey to the center of the campus. That's how the building sits on the slope, with the senior staff quarters and the center of the campus. So you can either walk outside down the steps through the landscape terraces and see what's going on the inside, where the podium houses conference facilities and exhibition facilities for the graduate students. Or you could actually go in if you want, and then you see the lobby of the graduate hostel above, and going down, You see the circulation that links up all the conference facilities with a view of the greenery and the slope outside. And as you walk, of course, you see the scenery on the outside, and people from the outside could see you walking on the inside. And as you pass along, you may come across lounges where student exhibitions might take place, or you pass through students coming out of the lectures from the lecture halls and mingle with them. So it will be an eventful and spontaneous route as you go up and down from your residence to the centers of campus every day. The other example is a residential building in the old district of Hong Kong. Here, the fabric is dense and vibrant. The building is situated between two roads with a level difference of almost 20 meters. So Hollywood Road is one major thoroughfare connected on grade to the center of the business district, whereas Hollywood Road upstairs is connected to all the mid-level residential towers, and then further up the slopes. So what we do is to bring in, again, a route through the architecture, so that there is a journey that is possible for people not only in the building, but from the neighborhood to go through it to the center of the city to work. Now, this being a residential building, we can't merge the public rim with the private rim, but we intertwine it. So if you look at this plan, the brown route is the public route, coming in from Hollywood Road through steps and stairs down to Queens Road East. But then, of course, you could take a lift, a shuttle lift, through a bridge, and then it would take you down straight to the street level. But on the other hand, the yellow portion is a residential lobby and a residential shuttle lift, which could take them up to a bridge that links the two towers, the lobby of the two towers. The two routes overlook each other, but they do not actually meet. And then along the way, we provide open spaces. The light green is a public park available to the residential neighborhood on the back. The dark green are the terraces and playgrounds for the residential towers accessed through their own internal spaces. So that is what you see as the podium beneath the two residential towers. That is the public shuttle lift that takes you up, and then through this bridge is connected directly to Hollywood Road behind. You can, of course, take the stairs, but probably you would take the stairs down rather than up. Then there will be the residential lobby and the residential shuttle lift, which then is connected to another bridge above the public bridge, which would feed directly into the lobbies of the two residential towers. And these are the roof terraces of the clubhouses of the residents, dispersed throughout the podium. That's what you see looking up. So the public could wait for the lifts here, and then these are stairs that you come down, probably more than going up. As you look up. But as you walk down, or as you go up, you can actually see the city at work. And you can see the terrace, the private terrace, and these are public stairs. And along the way, you have landscaping, greenery along the routes. And here's the uppermost bridge for the public. Coming out from the lift, you go up the steps and you go straight out to Hollywood Road behind. And above you, there's a private bridge that actually links up to the private shuttle lift across to the two residential lobbies. And on your way, you can look down and you see the landing of the public lift and the public bridge. So the public coming out from the lifts and the bridge, and then the residents from these two towers joining them when they reach the pavement. So it's an intricate arrangement in a dense neighborhood in such a way that it not only provides an interesting visual and interactive experience between the community and the residents, but it also actually discourages you from hailing a taxi or taking a bus, because walking down and going up would be so much more convenient. IFC in Central, you probably might have heard, is a multi-directional and multi-dimensional matrix of a fusion of the public and the private, right in the heart of Central. That is a complex comprising visually the most prominent one, which is IFC Tower, designed by Cesar Pelli, Four Seasons Hotel, shopping arcade, and the airport railway station, for which we are the architects. And you can see that before it's built, it's actually a giant piece of a city block that has the potential of linking the south to the north, the city to the waterfront, and from the west to the east. The heart of a complex is a complex section of the airport railway station, the Tung Chung station, the transport interchange, these airport stations, check-in hall, the hotels and shopping arcade, the offices. But the key really is the connection of existing network of pedestrian walkways in Central with what we bring through the complex and all the way through to the waterfront, both in a south-north direction and also connecting the east-west connection in Central. So the complex is actually a continuation of the public rim, or the network of the public rim, at one level above ground. That is the plan for that level. And you can see that there are all sorts of entry points and exit points, a highly permeable internal environments. From the west, you see bridges going into the shorter office tower. And from the office tower, go to the hotel, Four Seasons, through landscape roof terraces. From the ferry piers, these are the daily commuters in the morning, going through into the shopping center before going to different destinations in Central. From the south, through the different open spaces provided by Exchange Square, through pedestrian bridges through these squares into the inside of the pedestrian network. Now, the inside is not just an arcade or a network for circulation. There are spaces and nodes on the inside which connects vertically to different functions that you might need to go to. For instance, there is an in-town check-in hall for checking into the airport railway station in the basement. These are the connections within the shopping arcade that brings you up to the lobby of IFC1, the low office tower, or it brings you down to the local MTRC line, the Tung Chung line. Or you bring you through a distributing rotunda and connect it to our mid-level escalator systems going all the way up the mid-levels. But then there's also, of course, the shopping arcade, with doubling up as streets linking east and west. And of course, there are destinations within the shopping center itself that you might want to go to, like the escalators going up to a large landscape deck for enjoyment and relaxation and open to the public 24 hours a day. So a multi-directional and multi-dimensional matrix mapped onto a private development to enhance convenience and ease and enjoyment of walking within the city. When we designed the Hong Kong government headquarters a few years ago, we thought that although this is a government headquarters noted for extreme sensitivity to security, there is a chance to improve the connectivity of the city. This is a complex that consists of three things: the electrical complex, the executive office and executive chamber, and all the government bureaus. The site, before construction, lies again historically on top of a naval dockyard. And before the construction of the complex, there is a plan for a waterfront promenade for the whole city, which even now is under continuous construction. And then there is Queensway, the center of the city just east of the traditional main center. This is where we are, Convention Center. So this provides an opportunity for this much lacked link between the city and the waterfront. As I mentioned, it's a complex of high sensitivity to security and control. Electrical, executive office, and government bureaus, which is like the White House and the Congress and all the government departments. So we have to provide their own security and individual access, controlled on both sides. But through the center, we bring in a promenade through a park, which is open 24 hours a day again, for the free use and enjoyment of the public. So when they pass through the center, they do not interfere in any way with the events going on either side, but they feel the presence of people making decisions for the city. As I mentioned, one of the most important functions is electrical. The other one is the EXCO, where our chief executive works and meets. But the key is this link. By bringing a landscape deck across Gloucester Road, Harcourt Road, which is a busy thoroughfare, we are able to bring people walk down gradually on a gentle slope towards the waterfront. So passing through Harcourt Road and walking down, and you always see the harbour in front. And you see activities on both sides, the electrical with its various meetings. And occasionally there could be events staged near the waterfront. So for the first time, people are able to walk in ceremonial style, not just through narrow footbridges, but in comfort and grandness through the city to the waterfront. While there are pockets of open spaces on either side to provide other different functions. So the park, it's called Tamar Park, is a place for various activities. Simply relaxing, or commuting, always with the harbour in front, or expression of feelings, anxiety, emotions, or solidarity. So it's a place that expresses the city's different moods, different times of the day, different times of the week, or different times of the year. And when you walk through, you're able to share that mood, be it passionate engagement or romantic tranquility, like this Valentine's Day installation last February. Engagement of the walking experience could, of course, also be through contact with art and culture. We're designing this East Kowloon Cultural Center in Kwun Tong, the eastern part of Kowloon Peninsula, and that's what we try to do. The site is sandwiched between new and old residential neighborhoods with an MTR station above ground on one side and a fairly vibrant street-level retail environment on the other side. So what we want to do is, first of all, of course, to provide the needed residential facilities, cultural facilities, like the 2 theaters and 3 small venues. But we want to make use of the opportunity to bring people from the MTRC station above ground into a link, we call it an art link, around and through the cultural complex, in such a way that it could mingle with the visitors to the center, which is in red. And when that event's going on, again, they could be intertwined, but not actually mixing. And then on this side of the cultural complex, there are at-grade activities that we could provide, and at-grade crossings to the old neighborhood to make it a walkable and more pedestrian-friendly environment. So that, of course, is the focus of the center, a 1,400 people theater. But urbanistically, the important part are these spaces, the lobby spaces, which double up as a continuation of the pedestrian network in the neighborhood. So you come in from afar, from the MTRT station and the footbridge, but you could turn right and it lead you through a promenade where there will be art display and art promotion. You could either go through to the housing estate on the other side, or you go up the stairs, and then you go to the different small venues for the community. Or, this is looking at it from the other side, coming in from the MTR side, you could choose to go down the stairs, and you go through an exhibition space before you go out into the plaza. Or you could go straight on, up the stairs, and be connected with the footbridge that links you up with the existing retail podium on the other side. Or you turn right and take the stairs and go down onto the plaza where activities, bazaars, and weekend stores, weekend sales could take place. It's a scenario which is a win-win, so that a cultural center will not be a white elephant. It will not be dead when there are no concerts or theaters going on. It would always be full of vitality because of its engagement of the community and because it brings commuters through its many spaces almost 24 hours. Well, not quite, they have to control it, 12 hours a day. But it also enables the commuter or the people who walk through it to be able to come into contact with art, whether they actually want to or not. So this unintentional contact with messages from culture and art over time, we believe, would have a positive effect on the community. And so finally, a small project which do the same thing, already done. The previous project was one which is under now construction. We'll see whether it will work or not. But in March, we were asked to design an installation for Art Basel in Hong Kong to exhibit art in a shopping center. And the shopping center is the landmark in Central. Now, there are big challenges of doing that. Because as you could know, you see, shopping centers in Hong Kong are congested places. Very compact, full of people usually. This is taken in the early morning before they open. And to put art in such a place, you have to compete with pedestrian flow. And then the art would have to compete with the Gucci's and the Harvey Nichols and the Fendi's. So what we do is to study that central space, and we find out that there are many commuters who could actually pass through this void from Pedder Street to DeVos Road, from DeVos Road to Queens Road Central. So what we do is to put our exhibition right on top of that route. this won't do because it would just clashes between people who are looking at art and people who are actually commuting. So what we actually do is to suspend the exhibits in the air. And that's what it looks like, and that's what we put in. A floating tunnel suspended in the air in which we put the artwork. And we wrap the tunnel with a translucent membrane so that visually it screens off, to a certain extent, the unnecessary distraction from the merchandise and the shops around. So you see, this is an authentic Rubens. This Eric Boudard, just next to it. And you go through, you look up. This is Inca Sonnebar, the alien woman on a flying machine, right in the center. And you can see the membrane that we put in at the back shields off some of the distraction from the shop windows and the display. So instead of looking at art on a wall, as you do in the National Museum, here we created an architectural intervention which allows you to look at art while you are on the move. Something which is very much in the Hong Kong spirit, I think. But it also provides an engagement, something spiritually rewarding, potentially, for your daily walking experience. So, walking from A to be really engaging needs intervention of architecture. And if the architect is actually well designed and could actually actively engage you, then it will provide a happy experience. Thank you.